Hollywood has so often seen the potential in dusting off old shows and giving them new life with modern sensibilities. Countless times, really. And yet it's 2024, and they've never seen fit to give that treatment to Gilligan's Island. Not on the silver screen or the small screen. And that's a shame, really, because if done correctly, with absolute patience and care, a reboot show or a film can not only benefit from modern sensibilities, but it could be a real joy to watch. So I'm setting a course to achieve just that, a 3-hour tour of sorts. Will I end up shipwrecked on an island? Stick around and find out. Since before I was born, people have criticized the premise of the show, like it's something to be taken seriously. Detractors are hardcore, man, like headhunters holding spears. They just can't wait to start poking holes. A reboot of any kind would have to address certain plot holes in the story's logic, in order to welcome in the largest audience possible. A good place to start would be with the minnow. There has been a huge misunderstanding within pop culture that the minnow merely had a hole in it. Most people don't know that the boat was damaged beyond repair in a very early black and white episode. It ended up far less a boat and more a pile of wood. So it would be a good idea story-wise to explain that the damage is beyond a hole. I mean, with so many mechanical parts and circuitry in modern vehicles, if you were to crash a boat on an uninhabited island, it would be nearly impossible to fix it, even with someone like the Professor among the castaways. Speaking of the Professor, another point of contention among fans and non-fans alike has always been his inventions. They became so outlandish and nearly the butt of every joke about the show. Those inventions need to make life on the island a little easier, while remaining in the realm of clever hilarity. But they can't make the audience question.
But if they do that, why can't they just do this to get off the island?
There needs to be some sort of cap on what the Professor can do, similar to the cap that's needed for superpowers in comic book films. Mentioning that help isn't on the way would go a long way in disarming detractors. Simply explaining that the island has been long documented as not only uninhabited, having nothing of value, but from flora to fauna, is super dangerous, should do the trick. Believe me, because I've checked. There are no two ways about it. Some of the 1960 character traits on that old show would not play with a modern audience. I think a nice difference could be made with the use of character arcs. I mean, it would make sense, wouldn't it? People grow. They evolve, don't they? Especially under extreme long-term circumstances, right? This situation could certainly facilitate that cause and effect. I'm not saying throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm merely suggesting that these characters don't remain some 60s cliche. Sure, the Professor's a genius. He undoubtedly went to college. If there's one thing I've learned about some folks who've gone to college, some of them don't have a lot of common sense. That minor character trait can go a long way. Especially if it was juxtaposed against someone like Ginger Grant having an abundance of what that brilliant man doesn't. It could lead to some really funny scenarios, and give the Professor something to learn, as well as making Ginger something more vital to the group than just being eye candy. But just for the record, I have no problem with eye candy. As for Mr. and Mrs. Howell, the times we live in make it really easy to use them as a statement on greed in today's world. They could certainly start off as snobs, as they were in the original show, and then steadily learn about teamwork and community. And why not give them a reason to get off the island? I mean, other than merely socializing and counting their money. Give them a family member to get back to, but not just any family member, a mystery one. A big funny reveal could take the form of them revealing it to be Mrs. Howell's prized horse, dog, or chimp. That sounds like an old-timey gag, because it is. And it's the most charming thing you'll hear all day. Mary Ann as a character is wholly unique to the time the show was produced. She was written as a small-town girl rather than some country bumpkin, which is a miracle considering some of the stereotypes at the time. With a modern overhaul, you could easily keep her happy-go-lucky demeanor, just have it be a front for someone who has quite a bit of mental distress with the castaway situation. Mental illness isn't funny. As someone who fights against a panic disorder daily, I think this kind of predicament would allow for an honest look at that sort of thing. If it was done with care, it would lead to some laughs that felt earned and honest. Jonas Grumby, also known as the Skipper, should be a source of strength for the group, but he could find character development in having bad PTSD from the wreck, and thus moments of courage could be quite funny and earned. With Gilligan, I wonder if the character would be almost better played as a teen or a child. The inexperience of youth would most certainly be a better explanation for his bumbling than him being some sort of simpleton. Playing with character traits and arcs could be really interesting and fun within the characters, as well as lead to quite a few laughs across the group dynamic. Allowing for these kind of updates would be a hard decision to make. It wouldn't be popular among many purists. The thing is, there's a sea of potential fans who could appreciate the story and have a laugh, and get a real sense of joy if that premise was introduced into pop culture again. I love the original show, and that's why I made this video. Thank you for watching. I'm going to leave you with a few fan castings up on the screen. If you've made it this far in the video, let me know what you think of my fan castings, and if you have any of your own.
It was awful, really. For a whole week solid, every day after school, I'd lock myself in my room and watch reruns of Gilligan's Island.